All right, so I thought I'd just share a little bit of strategy that we came across recently in a transaction, and so basically the scenario is this: I'm representing the seller, and we buyer made offer, buyer offered less than list price, and buyer and seller negotiated, and seller basically was willing to give them some credits and such towards that. But really, after that process, they were at the end of their rope. Like they weren't willing to negotiate any further at the inspection phase. And so anyways, the of course, what happened at the inspection phase was there was a new roof that was needed on this home. The roof was at the end of its life, and so buyer came back and said, "Hey, I'd like to get this roof replaced," and they made a proposal for negotiation further. And of course, the seller said, "Well, I'm already negotiated as much as I want to negotiate. I don't want to negotiate anything more." And so we had some discussion about that and what's the best way to respond. And there's, of course, there's some scenarios here that play out. We could just say, "No, we're not going to do the roof, and as long as it passes an appraisal process, buyer, it's entirely up to you to take care of the roof." And the roof, let's just say the roof in this case was, $20,000. So that's one option. The other option, and this is the option that we elected to offer back to the buyer, is, "Hey, buyer, we understand you want to put a new roof on. We understand the roof's at the end of its life. We also have already negotiated as far as we're going to negotiate on the purchase price and credits and such. So what we're willing to do is we're willing to raise the sales price to cover the cost of the roof, and so then therefore the buyer is able to get a new roof put on. The buyer is able to finance that new roof essentially through their home loan, and as long as the property appraises for enough, then basically what we're doing is raising the sales price, and then we're going to, at closing, we're going to cut a check out of escrow directly to the roofing company for the roof to be completed. So it's a really clean way of doing things because we don't have to worry about trying to put on the roof prior to closing and who's going to pay the deposit for the contractor. They want 50% to start the job, and whose name is the job going to go under? Is it going to go under the seller or the buyer? Of course, the buyer doesn't want to put out financial obligation before they even own the home, and of course the seller is not interested in putting out half down in order to get the job started. So there's this chicken and the egg thing. So it's just a really clean, easy way of doing it, and we just raise the sales price by the cost of the roof. Then that same dollar figure, we then from escrow have it at closing cut directly to the roofing company. So once it's closed, once it's in the buyer's name, once we know everything is settled and done, the roof is essentially prepaid for the buyer, and all the buyer has to do is make arrangements with the roofer to have them come out and install it. And then in addition, in regards to my seller representing my client, also to the other thing this does is it defers any additional costs. So let's just say they got out there and, oh, sorry, it's going to be an extra couple thousand because we need to do this, we need to do that. Well, we've just shielded our seller from any additional negotiation or issues that could arise from the job actually being completed, let alone the hassle and inconvenience and all the rest of it. So anyhow, just a little tip on how things can be handled in a unique way to still get everybody what they desire, but just a different way of structuring the transaction so that it's still a win-win. And the buyer will either accept it or they won't, but at least what we're doing is making the option for them for a new roof more viable, making it less likely for them to walk away from the transaction, make it easier for them so that they don't have to, right after closing, come up with an additional $20,000 to put a roof on. So if you have any other questions about real estate related topics, my cell phone is always the best place to reach me. It's 206-949-3793. Talk to you soon.